Hello, dear friends, and welcome. And welcome to you, John, as well.
Yeah, thank you, Katarina. It's great to be here. Awesome to talk to you again. And yeah, thank you for the invitation. It's great
Oh,
yeah, to be chatting with you.
it's it's my pleasure, and especially because today we are talking about sharing our personal stories and leveraging our personal stories in our business. When I started sharing not only my message, but my personal story, that
Mhm,
my message stems from that personal story that I live
mhm,
and that I embody. I find that people who resonate with my message, who get liking to my personality, they find it easy then to recognize themselves, right? So it isn't the story that I have lived, but in sharing my story, I find that they find the permission to share their story. They find it's okay then to come out and share this story vulnerably. And if we were not open like this, even our friendship wouldn't have began, right?
mhm.
It it came from that willingness to be open and just to explore.
What you were saying as well, and I think is oftentimes it's the stories that we're a little bit ashamed of, or afraid of sharing or bringing into the public eye, and just keeping it like business.
Mhm.
Where I think that if you can show like vulnerability, then that's what creates connection. And really,
Mhm.
you want to create connection in your business relationships. And so for me, I'm in book publishing, and so I
Mhm.
didn't learn how to read and write at the basic level until I was like 9, 10 years of age. And that was in a developed country like Australia. And so that was against the grain. It wasn't normal, and I had a lot of shame associated with that experience. And the fact that I'm now in publishing it just happened organically. But that
Mhm.
was one thing that I led with.
Mhm.
That I actually didn't learn how to read and write at the basic level. And this is, we've published more than 30 titles now, and collaborated with over 300 different authors, mostly in an anthology series. We
Mhm.
help other educators create their own anthology series, and that's
Mhm.
one of the points that I leverage and create
Mhm.
connection. That it doesn't matter where you're at, you have a story that needs to be told, and that will
Mhm.
enhance your business and your credibility. And that doesn't matter, your background or whatever. It's like the value that you bring, and
Mhm.
so not to shy away from that.
Mhm.
I had people like that weren't really, yeah, they were surprised that I actually did that initially, and then once I started building up success, and then they could actually start to see the benefit of it. And
Mhm.
yeah, that was a long time ago as well. So
Mhm.
obviously things change, and so yeah, not to be afraid of that, of your story, of your moments.
But the
Was there a
power of
time?
story,
Yeah,
yes.
that absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think people mostly find it inspiring that I came from that
Mhm.
background and able to do what I've done now. And
Yes.
I'm a best-selling author, multiple books. I've written and produced a movie documentary that we're launching hopefully next year about
Mhm.
adversity, starring many different thought leaders: Jack Canfield, Michael Bernard Beckwith, Dr. John D.
Mhm.
Martini. And so yeah, don't shy away from your story. But I was curious to understand, was there a time where you were a little bit nervous about sharing your personal story, and coming out and saying, hey, this is what I've been through, this is my motivation and drive, my why for what I do? Was it a very emotional experience for you, or?
Not really. I thought I came from the angle of I thought it's not
Yeah.
relevant in the work I do, the story that I have lived. So initially, I didn't share that story. And
Okay.
as you said, it's you have to at some point you have to embrace the vulnerability. of the story that you have lived. So I was in a corporate career, and I thought I left my art world behind me, and post divorce in my life, I decided to do the responsible thing, to go now and build my career in a paid employment rather than being self-employed as an artist, because I'm a painter, and I thought that I was at that time, and I thought that because of the advice that I was receiving, you see, from people who were not entrepreneurs, clearly they were well-meaning advice. In giving me the advice, I went down that path and took the career road. And 5 years into my career, I wanted to break free and to become an entrepreneur once again. But I was not able to do it. I just ran out every single day out of energy, right? There was not enough energy staying for me to work on my business, as well as to put my energy in my work. And then life intervened, John, and I actually was called to tell the truth. Where I was working, I witnessed something that was happening in a law firm that was detrimental towards the clients, who were not aware that this was happening. And I confronted the person who was leading that firm, and given the opportunity to correct the steps. But I was discounted, saying that I wasn't qualified enough to understand what was happening. And I took this, I told him to his face that I was very capable of telling the lie from truth. And I was qualified in that respect. You see, so my story is a personal story of what I went through, but it doesn't relate with the business that I do now in coaching. But what it does, it showcases my values.
Okay.
It showcases that I totally disregarded the fact that I would be without a job, because within a couple of weeks from reporting this incident, I was regarded as a bad person who spoke the truth, right? Classic whistleblowing case. So I had no option to resign from that job. And the firm is closed today, and that all unraveled how it needed to unravel. And I did it according to my conscience. And that just demonstrates who I am, you see. So that was the story that I wasn't comfortable sharing in the beginning. But I find that when you sit down to talk to someone face to face, and that person doesn't know you, how do you demonstrate your values unless that is done through your actions? And your story is a testimony of your life, right? So yes, I was all of a sudden then in a situation where I had to choose now. Do I become an entrepreneur, or do I go back into safety of employment? And I said, no. I said, thank you, the highest self, for giving me this opportunity of exiting that world. And I dove straight into entrepreneurship. And I embraced everything, including storytelling, you know. So thank you for asking me that. It's usually I have the roles reversed, because as you know, you were a guest on my podcast. I just shared it on the platform this morning, but I will also link it to this broadcast as well. For everyone who wants to follow John, I would highly recommend, because John lives from his truth. And that is what we are talking about here. Following your dream, having the courage in life to follow your dream, and then to witness how that is opening up, how that path is just appearing in front of you. Do you want to share a few other nuggets from your story, John?
In relation to like taking a chance on yourself, like the leap of faith, because that obviously was a big decision for you to take that leap of faith. You know, you're in between worlds. Yeah, I think, I can relate to that. I had a number of different times I've had pivotal moments and I've had various businesses, mostly brick and mortar businesses. My last real pivotal moment was in 2010, and it was like I had, let me give you like a bit of context to it. I had a landscaping company for 11 years, and it was reasonably successful, turning over healthy six figures, and I just became I just lost my passion for that type of work that I once upon a time had, and I just knew it was time for a change. So I was seeking other options, and I went to a seminar that was teaching investing strategies, but then they also had a mindset component to investing. And the facilitator of the mindset component was like a 4-day seminar. He had a coaching program, and it was called Coach to Coach. And I decided to join. It was a hefty fee. It was like 38,000 Australian dollars back in 2010. So it's a decent investment in yourself. Yeah, it was an awesome program, and that really helped me transition into life coaching. And so I was at a pivotal moment. How long do I actually keep the business? Do I just I had a manager? Do I just have the manager run the business? And that sort of thing. But I decided just to go for a clean cut and sell that business, and then just go into coaching full time. And I found it quite challenging, the fact that I was basically selling my services, and saying, hey, this is what I can offer. This is what my focus is. These are the tools that I have. I became a master, did my master training in NLP, and later on became an NLP trainer. And but it was difficult. I remember just, I had to sort of downgrade my lifestyle at a point, and then still take on some other landscaping contracts, from my contacts, just to sort of make ends meet, because especially being a coach, it's not just the skills of being a really good coach that you need to focus on, but then you also have to be able to wear the hat of being able to market and do sales. And so quite often, I'd be on a call and I'd just give all my best, coaching tools, and at the end of the call, they'd be like, oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your help. Bye. And I felt like a real loser. I was like, oh my God, like I just helped this person. Amazing. I mean, now they're not even going to hire me. And it was ridiculous. So I just had to find a model that worked. And it took a long while. It was almost like I had a foot in each reality, and until I could upskill, not just having the coaching skills, but also having, marketing and sales skills. And it's something that I'm still working on and refining. And I think it's, there's always levels and layers, to the people we serve, and, where we're at in business and turnover, so on and so forth. I think that's to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a values alignment. Do you have like determination and grit? Would you, the fear of going back to a regular job, is that greater than the fear of failure? And I think if you have that, then that's one of the first steps of alignment. And then it's really, are you open to learning all the time? Are you into personal development and personal growth? Because I think that's another huge factor.
Yes.
Making it as an entrepreneur, or thriving as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Or digital nomad, or your class. But I'm always learning, growing, and there's always other levels. And so I think that it's very healthy to be in like mentor groups and around people that are at a higher level than yourself. And then obviously in business, being around people that maybe aren't at the same level in terms of the skills like book writing and things like that. And so having that balance between the two, being of service and upskilling, and being around people that are at where you want to be. So
Yes, yes, you have to have a view of where you are going, as well as helping those who are perhaps few steps behind you on that same path, which is just a wonderful opportunity, actually. So
It
if you
is,
want
and I think, yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say, if you're waiting to be ready, I think that that's a big mistake.
yeah.
If you're waiting to be ready, I mean, because I had like the ducks lined up, and I had like my revenue from my coaching practice to a certain level, so I thought I had it all figured out. And it
Yes,
wasn't
yes.
until I gave away one income that was like all these fears and things came up that I couldn't have seen. But it was the challenge of overcoming those that grew me as a person. And so I think, in a lot of cases, you just have to take that leap of faith.
Excellent. So this came out to be a story of how we actually started running our businesses and how we started leveraging our story. And in sharing that story with you, I hope that we have demonstrated what we initially came out to share here with you today. And that is that when you're truly living from your calling, when you are standing in your truth, the message comes to you easily, and there are many, many advantages of being authentic, of sharing your personal stories. So, not only stories that relate to your business, but the story of your life's journey, because that, as I said before, powerfully demonstrates and teaches and also attracts the people who are meant to be, who are meant to come on your path, and who can indeed learn and be helped by you and the services that you offer. So being willing to be real and to stay open connects you with people that you just cannot imagine if you stay guarded, if you stay behind that guard. Do you have any closing words or advice, John, before we wind up this short live today?
Well, I'd say embrace vulnerability. There's a real strength in being vulnerable. And I think anytime that we're honest and transparent, there's a vulnerability behind that. And I think that, the more that you can embrace that, your message and your story, then the greater, the connection that you will have. And the more relatable you become, people can relate to your story and message more because you're open and vulnerable.
Absolutely. And if I could also reiterate one point, is that you do not need to be extraordinary, nor does your story need to be extraordinary. In fact, it is the ordinary stories of everyday life and struggle and overcoming that struggle that are the stories that are going to connect you with the people who are ready to receive your help and guidance. So I do hope that this live here that we have been able to serve you, and I hope that this is just one of many, John, that you will join me for more conversations like this on Fridays.
Absolutely, I love it. It's great spending time with you and chatting. You've got your heart in the right place, and you live and breathing your message, which is awesome to see.
Thank you. Likewise, my friend. Thank you so much.
Awesome.